Hey everyone, welcome to the UFO Hub live stream. Today is open lines. So it's basically where we just hang out online. And for those who are interested, can call in on Telegram and share their stories with me. I would like to get into a topic today, which is what I also wrote up at the title, which is the problem with audiovisual UFO proof. Earlier today in Telegram, I had posted the picture and the video. This was sent to me by somebody that obviously wanted me to take a look at. Not 100% sure if they're kind of submitting this as some kind of proof, or something that, I just don't know what their intention was. But sometimes, over the years, I get a lot of video, pictures, all kinds of things. People wanted me to take a look at things, and I resisted for the very simple fact is that unless I know myself that I've recorded it, that I've seen it, I don't know what the other person's intention is. Just recently, as we all know, not saying that this is the all be all way to validate something, but if we know, for example, that at least from some of the Pentagon footage was released and the Pentagon confirmed it, that it was recorded by them, at least we can somewhat believe them. I mean, we all know governments lie all the time, but at least for the general public, that's good enough for a validation that, wow, this is something serious and this is something we need to look at. When somebody sends things to me, I don't know what their intentions are, and I cannot put my full weight behind a picture or video and basically just claim, wow, this is the proof. This is, you need to look at this, only for it to turn out to be a fake, or whatever else it would be. But what I don't like, and I guess it must be one of those days, is like when people send me stuff that you can pretty much find out within 5 minutes whether or not this was debunked, and then they would still claim this is the story, this is my proof, and it oftentimes turns out it's not even their video, it was just forwarded to me. So that's a challenge with that. I mean, I know you probably heard a version of an argument like this before, and so what I want to recommend to people is that I understand that the way this world works is that we want others, to look at what we know, what we have, to validate it in some way, but very rarely will you meet people that say, I know what I experienced. I know what I've seen. I know that I took this footage on my own. And if you don't believe me, great. It's not going to make a difference in their lives whatsoever. And it's almost like that's the kind of approach you're going to have to take, because you can't, to basically go to the masses, that majority of them have not experienced anything UFO related. A lot of them don't even care about anything UFO related yet. Depends on how much more prevalent the UFO subject is going to get in the public eye in the next coming years. But simply gather whatever information you have, gather it for yourself, keep a collection, make dates, whatever you think is important, where the location was, what time it was, what did you get from it, what's an experience happening to you during that time. And that's the best thing you can possibly do until this world gets to a point to where they will give you the time of day to say, oh, well, we had people that have all this other stuff. Can we look at what they have? It's just that right now there's so much stuff going on that, like what I did, I posted on Telegram. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm kind of all over the place today. If I mentioned that earlier, that picture and that video about, that is the kind of stuff I'm talking about, that kind of makes life difficult for ufologists, that makes life difficult for people that have had experiences. When you have, that one picture, you could easily trace it back, and it was some kind of art installation that it was designed very well, but it's a cool picture, of a half man, half fish, whatever that was, and just the way it's laying there, it kind of looks like it was, just caught, with some other fish in a net or something like that, and they were just laying out in a tray. And so I think it was some kind of art exhibition or statue in Japan. The and then obviously the other looks very well done, but I think it's like that's the slight tone that was added to it that gives it that fake thing for me, especially with the focusing and the way it's done. It's just, it's very rare to get footage, like that. So anyway, that's why I can't, and I really don't, want to, I guess, condone anything. All I can do, if I ever show you anything, which I would like to in a second, it would just be for information purposes. Take it or leave it. I'm not saying I know 100%. All I'm saying is that, okay, whatever I'm about to show you seems interesting. This could be fake, maybe not. I have no idea. But that has to be something that I would ask you to accept from me, because I don't know. Unless I can say, this afternoon I was walking and I had my camera with me and this is what occurred and I was able to record it, then I can, I guess basically just get behind it 100%. Anytime somebody else sends me something, I just absolutely have no idea what their intentions are. Like I said, some have good intentions. It's genuinely something that is interesting that they recorded, but others it's just send these obvious fakes that just drive me nuts sometimes. So anyway, I wanted to just cover that topic a little bit with you guys, just because, as I mentioned, today is open line. So I would encourage you to log on to Telegram or install Telegram on your phone or in your computer, and basically join the UFO Hub group. In the description, there's a direct link to it, and you should be able to join it, and you'll see a voice chat going on right now. If you go into that, you'll basically be able to hear me a bit delayed, but you hear my voice talking right now. That means you're in the group, and if you raise your hand, I can unmute you if it's your turn in the queue, and I can talk to you about whatever experiences you might have had. And the topics are open. It could be metaphysical, spiritual, whatever. UFOs, ghosts, cryptids. Sometimes we get a little bit into politics. There's no, whatever this has to lead, I don't really want to constrict it. So wherever this goes, we'll just go with it. And I hope that it's a journey that you'll enjoy as well. So let me see, what do we have going on? So in chat, we have Paul. Okay, Paul Crocker, welcome. Bradley, how are you? Mom DeLorean, hello. R3AXXX, very interesting name. Crypto Mojito, how are you? Good to see you here. So, yeah, it's we were just chatting a little bit before things started. Last time, Ken wanted to. I only saw a message, and then later on, Ken contacted me on Facebook and Messenger under the UFO Hub page, saying that he has some pictures that he wanted me to take a look at, and so he actually managed to log in today to talk, and at least this is what it's for. And I'm hoping that I can connect with him, at least hear his story. He has sent me an email with all the pictures and the things he might get into today. I don't know, that he could back up, but again, I don't know. I need to take a look at it closer. But there is actually, let me switch this over real quick. So what I wanted to show you, this is a channel ran by Nathan. He's also in Telegram, and this is one of these things to where I don't know Nathan. Haven't met him. We chatted just a little bit back and forth. That's about it. But he sometimes sends me some interesting pictures videos that he often posts on this channel. So I encourage you at least to check it out and go and subscribe, so you can see I'm subscribed. And what was really cool, interesting about this is that he, about 40 seconds into this, let me see if I can get you some audio. In about to at your top right corner, he mentioned that to me, and he said to pay close attention to it. And this was something that looks like maybe recorded on the cell phone at night, and I don't know if I'll ever find out some more information about it. But pay close attention, I guess, to the top right. In 40 seconds, and oh, there it is. So whatever that is that's flying over, it looks pretty cool. It's very slow. I don't know. It could be an airplane. It could be whatever. We just don't know. But at least it's something interesting that I appreciate him sharing. And I'm not putting that out there as some kind of proof or whatever. But at least just check it out. If you're into ufology, it's worth looking into. So anyway, the channel here is called The Thing Hunter, and so I don't know whatever else he plans to upload, and he probably has some more videos out there. And I think I've watched some other things on his channel before. So check it out, subscribe if you're into it, and I certainly appreciate him posting it on to the Telegram group to let us all know. All right, so let's get back here. Okay, it says camera is Sony X Night Vision camera. Okay. All right, thanks for that info, Nathan. Well, maybe if you have some time, if you're actually paying attention and can log in, if you can log into the voice chat, and love to chat with you about it a little bit. If you can't, I understand. Okay, Simone Kinley is in chat. Hello. Too Far Gone from Earth. Hello as well. Fab22, welcome. Man, and then obviously Bradley. Okay, let's see if Ken, if you wanted to log in with me or talk, can you just raise your hand? So it'll tell me that you're ready. If not, okay. Let's see if the audio works this time. Okay, you are unmuted on my end. Unmute yourself on your end, and
okay.
Okay, I can hear you now. How are you, Ken?
Good. Thank you.
So we talked a little bit earlier before the show, and I guess just please continue wherever you would like to start out regarding your story.
Okay. In 1981, I went to a camp in Mendocino County, California, called Camp Mendocino. It's a boys and girls club camp for kids. I was a little kid. I went on to one of these activities at the summer camp called a 50-mile hike. It was an extended stay of a hike. We had to wear these big heavy backpacks. We had all our clothes in it, pots and pans, food, whatever. And we set out the first day. We walked about at least about 5 or 6, maybe 10 miles at the max, and we came across the dead deer. The dead deer had its eye removed, half of its jaw removed, and its stomach area was there was like a little thin membrane holding all the guts inside, but all the fur was removed off the stomach area. And well, kids were all like, "Ooh, look at it, it's a dead deer," and the staff members were freaking out. They were like, "Leave it alone, it's dead." Okay, so we kept on walking. Later that night, they set up camp. Campfire. You know, sing along, and a couple marshmallows, Pop Tarts, whatever we ate. And that night, later on, after that, we were abducted by extraterrestrials, and the craft was a black flower petal pattern craft. And I received implants, and I sat at a console. And later on, we were taken to some underground cave where I was made to get some kind of a box cube. And well, I got the box cube, needless to say. And there were four tall extraterrestrials, and there was a smaller one with like an elephant skin. And well, later on, we came back onto the craft because they were wanting to leave, and the staff members were like, "Come on, let's go." They want us to leave now. Let's go. And so I sat back down at the console. We took up, and I started touching the buttons because I had my implants. I was a part of the collective through telepathy. I knew every single thing about the craft, everything. And I started touching the buttons, and we were time traveling. I looked out the window. I did not see no clouds, no sky, no ground. Everything was all gray and black. It was all gray and black outside the little window. And one of them came from behind me, but I was sitting at the console inside of the craft and said, "There's nothing for you to see outside right now. Everything is gone. Nothing exists." So inside of the craft, we were a singularity onto our own self inside of the craft. And outside of the craft, outside of the field, nothing existed. We were time traveling. We came we came to a stop. I jumped out of the craft. I ran through this little town and I went to a church. I seen that there was a building. I didn't know it was a church at first, but when I got inside, it was a church. And I looked around and I was very thirsty and I drank out of the water thing that they had in the middle of the church. And come to find out later on in my life that I was in ancient Transylvania. I was recorded and documented by the people of the church and by the people outside of the church. And there's a big, beautiful picture of a UFO above the church in Transylvania in the year, what is it, 1307. In the 13, I was in the Renaissance era, and kind of freaked out. Yeah, people were wearing these big fluffy neck collar thingies. And I thought I was seeing goats because I never seen people wear stuff like that before. And they were trying to calm me down, and I spent the night there inside of the church. And the next morning, I got back onto the craft, and we were time traveling some more, and we found ourselves in the second Ming Dynasty in China. We were recorded and documented inside of the Ming Dynasty with the second emperor. The lady staff member had a wristwatch ring, a gold wristwatch ring. It was one of those 80s rings where it had a little clock on the ring you wear on your finger. She lost it inside of the vault where they buried dead people. And it was recently found. The vault was sealed for like 300 years. It's been sealed. And someone found the ring, the lady staff member's wristwatch ring. Right there, they got a nice picture of it, and I'm looking at. And well, after that, we were taken to, well, actually, we were dropped off in Peru at the Chachapoyas in Peru, and they called them the Cloud Warriors. And we were there for a while until the neighboring village, Machu Picchu, came and started killing the elders on top of the fortress there. And well, I didn't like that very much. I seen people getting killed right in front of me, and I was just a little kid. And well, I got the craft, came back down, and got on it, and we went to the neighboring village of Machu Picchu, and I destroyed their village with the weapon system inside of the craft. And then we were taken back even further back in time, over 10,000 years before the great flooding of Earth, and I'm on recorded on petroglyphs all around what is now called America today, around the Four Corners area, Utah, Arizona, what is it called, Nevada, and Arizona, Utah, Colorado, and New Mexico, all around the Four Corners area. And I also physically died before my natural childbirth. I'm capable of taking pictures of myself in heaven, which I have. And I also have pictures of extraterrestrials in heaven too. And I got pictures of me recorded on petroglyphs. I'm also recorded on Prophecy Rock by the Hopi in Arizona. I'm recorded on Prophecy Rock. I'm also recorded on a sacred tablet, just like I'm recorded in China, just like I'm recorded in Peru, just like I'm recorded in Transylvania. And I have all the pictures of all the things that I've been through in my life, including
Well,
myself with petroglyphs.
can I ask you some quick questions here? So you're saying the whole group was taken on board with the with everyone where you took this trip with?
Yeah, 7 of us. Three
Okay.
boys, one little blonde haired girl, two men staff members, and a female staff member.
And so you just kind of nonchalantly said you just destroyed the village. I mean, you said you were a little boy. Why would you,
Yeah. Well,
if that was the
they
case,
killed
why
my
would you
family
do
members.
that?
They killed
Say
my
that again.
family right before my face. They chopped off their heads. I seen people getting murdered right in front of me. And when I got back onto the craft, I went to their village and I destroyed everything I seen because I was very angry.
Right. And this was, I guess, what I'm trying to ask is basically the family killing. When did that happen of your family?
Hundreds of years ago, probably even thousands. I don't know the time tale on over there in Peru because they didn't really have a time scale. They didn't really have a time scale over there on the Chachapoyas on top of the mountain.
So you're saying these beings that let you pilot the ship also just let you use their device to just destroy the village as well?
Yeah, they knew what happened.
And
Yep,
so,
sure did.
right, how do you draw the connections between some of these pictures that you say you have that's you being depicted way back when?
Well, I'm recorded on petroglyphs. I know where I was, who I was with, where these things have happened, and what has happened at these locations because I was physically there with the other children and the other staff members and the elders thousands of years ago and even hundreds of years ago. You know,
Is
and
are you
it's
still
in
in
this.
contact with some of the members?
Well, no, I haven't seen them since I was a kid from the 50-mile hike.
Hmm.
No, we were made to forget, but it was in this that the little girl, she didn't really forget because something about me and her and the lady staff member is that we kind of knew that something happened to us, but we really didn't know until later on in our lives when everything started washing off, the brainwashing that they do to you. So,
By,
yeah.
I'm sorry,
And then
brainwashing by
my,
whom?
yeah, the brainwashing, the hypnotizing, making you forget, locked it in your subconscious, through telepathy and stuff that eventually wore off. It only took about 40 years though.
Are you talking about the visitors? You were claiming that they were wiping your memory?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, how did you regain them back?
It took time. It took time. Is a lot of it's from divinity, straight up divinity, and because I died before my natural childbirth physically, that is a great transcendence to physically die before you're physically born. Not a past life experience, not an incarnation, but with your same 2 feet and your same 2 hands, you're physically died thousands of years before you were even physically born. That's a great transcendence. And because I died physically and I went to heaven, I'm capable of taking pictures of myself in heaven. And a lot of my information is coming directly from upstairs, heaven itself. I fought evil upstairs, and I got pictures of me where a lot of these pictures are mirrored image. It's because for instance, like you're inside of a fish tank. Now you want to see outside of the fish tank, but you can't really see because the image is distorted. It's upside down. So everything you see is upside down. Well, if you had a camera and you made it upside right, well, you're looking at whoever's looking at you. But in heaven, because it's a different dimension, you have to mirror image, which is called divinity. Divinity is many, means more than one. You divide it. So I'm dividing the picture, and there you can see who's looking right at me. He's pretty pissed. He's also recorded on Prophecy Rock in Arizona, and me on the Prophecy Rock in Arizona too. So, and there's the other children that I was with on the top of the Prophecy Rock. If you ever looked at Prophecy Rock, you'll see us hand in hand. Those are us kids, and that's
Ken,
me
have
older.
you tried just kind of creating a website and just kind of telling your story and putting up pictures and all that you have, and then allow people to be able to come and just visit your page and see what you have to say?
Well, I've did it on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and here recently TikTok. Not that many people are interested in someone who's actually traveled in time. They're more interested in, boobs and butts and beer and movies and crap like that. They're not interested in seeing a real extraterrestrial, seeing someone who's actually traveled in time, and seeing someone who's taking pictures of themselves in heaven. I'm not seeing anybody else on the whole world taking pictures of themselves in heaven. I'm not seeing anybody like that. And here
Right.
I am, the
Well,
only human doing it. So
well,
that's kind
Ken,
of
you
amazing
know,
right there.
right. Well, I mean, most of us have some very extraordinary stories to tell, and I know I found it challenging if for my experiences to just kind of draw a picture and connections of whatever happened, wherever it happened to now, how to draw that connection. Because most people, if you say took pictures in heaven, for most people heaven is more of a etherical place, not physical. And
Yeah.
so when you
Well,
say you
the
took
passage.
pictures there,
Go ahead.
that would imply a physical place. So anyway, what I'm saying is I don't know. I have no idea if what you're telling me is true or not, but I'm here to just at least listen to you. And what I want you to basically, spend time on is draw out as much detail as you possibly can. I know sometimes for sake of time, people, have to hurry up and tell a quick story, but then, draw a connection of what was the whole point of you just going to these different places for the sake of going there, or was there a higher purpose?
Well, basically, um, you know, I sat at the console, you know, and I was one of the kids, and I didn't want to really sit in the cubicle that everybody else was being told to sit into. I was being stubborn, and I sat my butt at the console. And since I had the implants, I became a part of the collective inside of the craft, the UFO, and I was driving it. I
And
was
you
driving the
understood how to
UFO.
operate it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah, I knew everything about it, how to open up the door, how to use the weapon systems, how to land a craft, everything. I was flying a UFO, and I was just a little kid, And these things have actually happened. I mean, and I want to get touch a little quick on the heaven thing.
Sure.
People got a big misconception about what heaven actually is. Heaven isn't anything what they're thinking of. Heaven is basically when you go outside and you look up the clouds. That's heaven. We become a part of the environment. We become what you people call today clouds. And that's what the elders knew thousands of years ago. And I still hold this knowledge, and I've been taking pictures of myself and what you people call clouds. It's not clouds. We become a part of the environment, and we reciprocate, and we give you all something to drink to stay alive called water. You're actually drinking us. You're drinking us. You're drinking your elders. Water. It's all connected. And I have pictures of extraterrestrials in heaven. Whatever dies here goes up into the environment and becomes a part of everything. I got pictures of extraterrestrials in heaven because they also died here too.
So Ken, I'm just looking through some of the comments, and Hazel was asking if could do you have a location where people could go and look at some of those pictures? If you can give an address, whether it's Facebook or a website or anything like that.
Kenneth Pass. It's on YouTube, Facebook. Um, you know,
Just do a
I
search for
basically got
Kenneth's Path. Well, is there a specific link? Because sometimes there might
PASS.
be.
Kenneth Pass. PASS. Like pass me the fried chicken.
Oh, okay. And I guess what would the profile look like?
Just my picture.
Right. Let me see here. Um, at least because there's no one else that was wanting to chat, so I will try to go and see if I can.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, hi guys, I traveled in time. I drove a UFO. I
Is it a
got pictures of
picture of
extraterrestrial
the
of an
as a
angel,
child?
of an
Is it
angel.
Kenneth? Is it
Ken,
Kenneth Pass as a child?
Ke. Yeah, yeah, that's me. And I got pictures of myself in heaven. I got all these incredible pictures, and then I'm surprised that it's not all over the news media. But you'll be surprised at how actually hard it is to get my type of information out anywhere, because people really, they're not that really interested in it. I mean, they want to see the UFO. They don't want to see a picture of an extraterrestrial. They want to see the UFO. I mean, what's better? Picture of an extraterrestrial, a real extraterrestrial, or a picture of a UFO that you can hardly see in the sky? I mean, you know.
Well, Kenneth, I know, Kenneth, but sometimes you can't. When people don't want to look at things, they don't want to look at stuff. I know it's frustrating, and we
Yeah.
always want to be want others to pay attention. But I'm on your page right now, and I'm kind of scrolling through. Is it some of these slideshows that you put in? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah,
To just kind of
yeah,
look at.
just go ahead and look at the pictures in
So
the
Hazel, if
profile.
you can
Yeah.
see this, you can check it out yourself. I just went there. Um, to the page to give you an idea of how to find them. Then, if this is the correct profile. Kenneth, do you have any other direct pictures? Let me see. Do you have just photos that I can go to? Yeah, there's photos.
Yeah, just look in the photo department in the profile. If you're on Facebook, just go ahead and look at the photographs.
And
Should
what
be
are
seeing a whole
these?
bunch of them.
Right. And what did you say? These reflection. These. What is this one picture of the craft? The craft I helped drive all through
Drive
history. And
history.
what is the
Yeah.
the mirror images? Can you
That's
explain this again?
okay. Because I died before my natural childbirth, I know how to see heaven because I became a part of it. I got pictures of myself in heaven. Heaven is not what like everybody thinks. It's not like, what's all written in the Bible and what people see on TV. No, no. You go outside, you look up, you see that cloud right there, that's heaven. We become a part of the environment. We become clouds. We are not just faces in the clouds, you know. So I know how to see because I'm part of the divinity. I got pictures of myself in heaven, and I have to mirror image. I don't really have to mirror image because I can see perfectly. But all of you would have to see a mirrored image because you couldn't see anything. But when I do that, you'd be like, "Oh my gosh, man! Look at all these demons. Look at that. That's the devil." And you see me, you're standing right next to him, confronting him, and I'm on the ground taking the ultimate selfie of myself in heaven, myself on the earth, confronting the devil himself. Now, I know of nobody who has pictures like I do. And I've looked for the last 7 years. I ain't seen nobody on earth, no one with pictures like mine. So I'm the only one. And that's how everybody knows I'm legit. Because you don't see pictures like mine off the internet. Mine are not CGI, mine are not fake, not drawings, not anything. Just real, raw divinity.
Right. Well, Kenneth, again, you can see what I'm trying to see. So, if this drawing, how do you know that this is you? Well, I mean, besides you saying that
That's
that's where you
me because
went,
I was there. I was there when the others recorded it. It's like
and
that's how you
did you
took a
find
picture
these
thousands.
online, or did you go to this
No,
location to take the picture?
I went to the locations. I'm there. I'm I got pictures of where I'm standing next to my own self, recorded over 10,000 years ago on a petroglyph. I'm a living petroglyph. I'm also recorded on Prophecy Rock with the other children hikers. We didn't have cameras 10,000 years ago. We just had, and here on these lands, you grab something off the ground and you start chiseling into the rock and write your story on rock, or you're not going to have anybody know who you are.
Okay,
And I know
Kenneth,
exactly what. Go ahead.
I just want to ask you one of the other questions is who are they? Like, can you describe these beings that were on the ship?
Yeah, a lot of them. Well, they're the Greys, and there's another part of the family that's living on another, in the Orion system because they marked me with some kind of like a pen wand device. Like it looks like a little pen wand. It's like a magic wand, but it's not. And it was burning into my flesh, and I thought I was smelling bacon. They burned. the star system of Orion on my right side. I got the they put that on me themselves. So they're from Orion, and a lot of them live underground. They've always been here. So when I hear people say, "Well, these things have just landed. It'll be another year before they get here. First time aliens have ever been here." And I'm like, "Oh, really? Well, I guess you don't know me because I've been time traveling all through history and I know they live underground. They've been living underground for a very, very long time. So I know when people are lying right away, and I know when people don't know what they're talking about because I got to drive a UFO. I got to travel all through history with them. They're actually really good people. They just, you know, we've got it really good, and we're destroying the planet, which really sucks. And to me, it's irritating as all hell watching all of you don't know your ass from a hole in the ground because you're just making a mess of everything, and you really don't want to pay attention and learn. Because if you did learn, if you learned from someone like me who has the proof of things, you can see a whole lot more. And it's amazing. It's beautiful. But all I see on TV is destruction, people blowing shit up, drugs, crazy crap.
Well, Kenneth, what else did you take away from that? Are you still continuing these contacts to this day?
Yeah, I mean, they'll come and go. It's just weird because sometimes you'll be like, well, am I dreaming this or am I wide awake? And they're like, you're wide awake. It's just that we're not going to really let you see what's going on around you, but just stay still, and listen to our instructions. And basically, you're sitting down in a school behind a desk, kind of like in a theater, and you're watching stuff that they have to show everybody. So I get the gist of that too, you know,
Ken,
kind of like a scare.
did you tell the story to any family members? Do you have any family members that know about this?
Yeah, a lot of them don't like them over here because I have all my proof all over the walls of my living room. So when you come in through the door, you're seeing real pictures of me standing next to extraterrestrials, and they kind of don't like it because, it disturbs it disturbs their reality. It disturbs their fantasy of the reality that they grew up with. You know what I mean? It
Right.
gives
No,
them
I
a
get it.
real good dose of real reality instead of the fake TV shit that you see all the time on the news or on the YouTube or whatever, the movies.
Well, Ken, while we were talking, I was able to find your page, and those watching, if they're interested, they can go and check it out there. So maybe this time, you'll have some people that understand more and could potentially get in touch with you regarding your pictures. Yeah, because I just honestly, Ken, I just don't know. I personally don't know. All I can do is just listen to you and I appreciate you
You
sharing
just,
your story.
yeah, I mean, it takes more than 5 minutes to fully understand. I mean, the greatest of field investigators couldn't understand the information that I have in 5 minutes. It'll take a lot longer than that. But yeah, Kenneth
Information regarding
Pass,
what you were talking about, time travel, or were there some other
time
concepts?
travel, what I've been through in my life with the whole thing, with all the proof and all the photographs, you know, it would take them more than 5 minutes, you know.
Right.
But if they want to see Kenneth Pass, Pass on Facebook, Kenneth Pass on YouTube, and on TikTok and Twitter, same
Okay.
thing.
Right. Well, Ken,
Well, I
I
appreciate
appreciate
you.
you. Yeah, I appreciate you very much for calling in to share your story.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, yeah.
It's an event.
Hopefully, sometime in the future, let me know if anything else came about. If there's some other collaboration that might have occurred.
Yeah, definitely. We'll keep in touch.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ken. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Bye bye.
Um. Oh yeah. Rick. I'm wondering if you're hearing this. If you can come on. I know you're not expecting to, but I wanted to talk to you about tomorrow. If you can raise your hand, that way I know you're listening. Okay, good deal. So yeah, you can unmute yourself. So tomorrow, I have a premiere scheduled at 7 p.m. and so it's basically pre-recorded. What it's basically the psychedelic experiences that we tried to basically um, stream live, but there was some syncing issues. Our voice and audio was way off, and watching that live just gets really weird. So we plus the original connection was cut off when I tried to restart it, and it started somewhere else, so we lost some people watching. Anyway, I had all that recorded here locally, and so I edited the whole thing together, put it together, and it will basically then be reposted tomorrow. And so it's not live, but because of this premiere option that YouTube allows, it's going to play as if it was, as if it is live, and I should be on chat, basically just talking. And first time actually just have time to chat with all of you that are tuning in. And Rick, I don't know if you might have some time, but I don't know if there's any questions or something to possibly answer tomorrow over chat, but I know it's so tedious to do, and I don't expect you to if you can't, because I don't know that I will either, because there's a lot, having to write back and do that in all chat when everyone else is chatting as well.
Sure. No, I'll be around tomorrow, so I'll just be sure to be on the call, and it should be good.
Well, there's not going to be a call. It's just basically just going to be online, and it will be the chat room itself or next to the video on YouTube.
Sure. No,
Yeah,
I'll be around for that.
Yeah, I'm not streaming tomorrow. It's just, I guess, with the YouTube Premiere, it creates the illusion that it's streaming, but although it was recorded last time. Yeah, and then I've been trying my best to work out some of these syncing issues. So right now, I'm still in sync and works out great. But when I have Telegram open and then Skype open and then OBS and then streaming and then taking in all these inputs and streaming it out and then having Skype and Telegram talk to each other, I think it's maxing out my system. And then at some point it just does a little glitch, and most of the time the Skype is off. And so it drives me nuts not being able to give you guys the best possible product that I can. At least, I mean, I'd rather have lower quality of some sorts instead of audio and video being off sync when you have to watch the guests, because it's very distracting. But I've been trying my best to see if I can get this. Get things changed. I don't know if some of you were here or logged in. I basically, my boss, aka my wife, approved a new machine that's it's going to cost a pretty penny, but I'm hoping that with higher core count on the processor and way much better graphics card, that I should be able to get you guys a machine that can handle all of that, because I want you guys to be able to interact with the guest and ask questions and talk, because I know Rick, you were able to log in and talk to George when he was on, weren't you? Yes, you were. I remember now. Rick, are you there?
Hear me?
Yes. Can you
Hello?
hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I mean, yeah.
Hold on. You sound like a robot now. Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Yeah. Okay. Keep talking.
Okay. I don't know what's happening. I mean, I'm not using a headset. I'm on my phone, and I'm right next to the Wi-Fi unit, so I don't know what's going on.
Okay, you're better now. Yeah, no, you're coming through all right. I said you were able to at least talk to George, and how did you, I'm hoping that that's something you like doing, being able to set that up for y'all.
I mean, for me, it was really cool. I mean, because I mean, I haven't listened to George, religiously, but I know his show. I've listened to it before, and it was just really, I didn't ever think I would ever have a chance to ask him a question right on. So it was like crazy to like hear him talking to me and like like addressing me by name. Like, oh my God. But
Right.
not only that, to be able to ask him a question, it was pretty cool. I was a little nervous, I got to admit.
Right. Yeah, no, that's I don't know. I just wanted at least your feedback because I know you were just recently on and using that because not a lot of people on Telegram take the opportunity to actually be on Telegram and be able to ask the question directly. We have the usual suspects. Bradley, it's always on. I appreciate it. Love chatting with him and it keeps me up to date of what's happening in South Africa and from what he was telling me earlier, things are getting better and better. And of course, there's Hazel. Hi, Hazel. I never got to say hi to you. Um, Ara, I guess it's on Twitch. So I'm glad I have a Twitch watcher as well. Yeah, Twitch. I love Twitch stream much better. For some reason, YouTube doesn't give me the bandwidth, so it really looks crappy live streaming on YouTube, but on Twitch it's like real nice and crisp. So I don't know what they're doing differently than YouTube, but I guess they give a lot more resources, I guess, to their streamers. So I appreciate that. Um, Jewel Jackson, hello, how are you? Oh well, thank you, Jewel. Jewel says, you are a good host. You allow your guests to express themselves without judgment. That's rare. Thank you. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I try because I know of my own life, some of these things, if I haven't experienced them, I wouldn't believe it myself. So I just never know what someone is telling me. Um, the only thing I guess the possibility of all these crazy things happening is there. The only difference is whether or not that's an honest storytelling or made up. That's the only thing that that I hope people come from, from the truth aspect to say, hey, this really happened to me. Because some of the things that are out there, people are, just still are not that aware of what's possible. And it takes a long time just to even get in the idea that extraterrestrials exist, not to mention to, let's say, be on a ship flying and doing all these things that people as often reported they do. And so, again, I don't know, but at least I hope, like I've always said, that this can just be some kind of library of information for for all of you to at least hear it and just keep it on the back of your mind. So if and when it ever happens in your lives, you'll know, oh, I know this. There's, I have a reference point now, as opposed to just being dumbfounded and being exposed to something for the very first time. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but, if you're already going to spend the time to listen to, let's say, my show or some other show, I'm hoping that, you will learn about something new, no matter how absurd it may sound. Hazel is asking, is it possible to ask the question I mentioned to you via email? It just popped into my head. Yes. Hazel contacted me. Hazel contacted me through email. And if I remember it correctly, it was a question. It's funny how you phrased it because you were trying to be careful and not to, trying to be all politically correct. And I'm not PC whatsoever. I absolutely hate that crap. So whatever is on your mind for anyone watching, just lay it out. I'm not. I know most of the time where a question is coming from, whether it's from a good heart or more ill intent. I've been on this planet long enough for me to be able to discern it, whether it's in person or text. But the question from her specifically was, if there's any stories or any accounts of, let's say, if I'm not mistaken, I'm just trying to remember exactly what she said, of like really obese people being abducted, or mentally retarded people being abducted, or people that generally don't express themselves in the same way that we do, that usually would need some kind of help at some, some facility and whatnot. And she was asking if there's, if I knew what I meant and if I could speak on that. And so, to be honest, some kind of mental handicap, I've never heard of an abduction in that way. Maybe there is one out there. I just don't know. But so a weight, I don't know that weight would matter, because I'm a pretty big guy myself, and I've never physically been on these different ships, or these different locations, but I've known people that were right about my weight, and they were 250, 350 pounds, and I don't know what that makes it into kilos, but they were claiming to be in contact. They were claiming to be, abducted and or contacted and interacting. So I don't know that weight and, I guess, being obese would come into play. Maybe if you were absolutely obese, like 600, 500 pounds, and you can't move, maybe there might be a bit of a challenge just to, I guess, I don't know, to move around, because I know a lot of the abduction stories often talk about that these people that are abducted are being moved by these beings themselves. So I'm sure they would have some kind of technology where weight doesn't matter, to where, you would be light as a whip feather and being able to move you around wherever they need to. But yeah, extremely obese, I've never heard that, but I've known of people that were at least within the 300 pounds range, 300 plus pound range, and had contact. So I hope that kind of answers your question. Right, or some kind of handicap too, that I don't know. Maybe if I'll keep an eye out and an ear out. If I ever know or hear about something like that, I'll let you know, Hazel, or everyone else watching. It's curious, if there's some kind of, DNA. At the end of the day, it's just, DNA. So it's not. You can pretty much extract it from anybody. You don't, unless there's the part of the DNA that's actually causing this physical handicap, that might actually be a problem, or maybe not so much of a desired DNA strain, I guess, for whatever hybridization program is being used for. But for some of you who might have logged in, when I talked to Brad Johnson, he channels Adronis. And I found out, interestingly enough, that August 31st, he's not going to be channeling Adronis anymore. And so maybe I'll try to get him before August 1st to see if he would want to come back to channel Adronis one last time here on UFO Hub. But he was talking about also, and I've heard this before, that the abduction program is concluded, that it's done and been done with for quite a while. And so that I think maybe 90s, as far as early teens, 2000, the period between 2000 and 2010, maybe earlier in that decade, that it's basically just concluded. And what they're up to now, I have no idea. But I have next week, I'm hoping to have enough time to publish a webcast I did with Reed Summers, and he's the son of Marshall Summers, and they both kind of work on this project together. But Marshall Summers came out with the Allies of Humanity books, and so it's kind of interesting listening to him and his perspective about that. It has more of a caution regarding contact than the general story out there. And because I don't consider myself a gatekeeper of information, I want you to have both sides, the good and the bad, out there. I will interview, whoever I deem has enough information that they can express it, and then give you more background information where you can then go up and look look up some of this information yourself. So yeah, because I don't. I mean, there was quite a bit that I didn't agree with them on, but that wasn't a point. It's not about me. It's just about them getting the information to you, and I'm hoping that you can discern things for yourself and just take in the info and use it wisely. Okay. Donna Topez, she's on Facebook, says, I've heard of prisoners being abducted, always easy to find, structured life, but who can they tell without sounding like a crazy liar? Yeah, I've never heard that either about prisoners. But then again, you never know. There's no limitation if they can come through walls, go any location, any place, anywhere in the universe. Prison is not going to be that much difficult to get to a person. Star Brother says that Jonas can join him in this non-dual life. Yeah, I don't know what I have to kind of look at that video more and listen a little bit more. Basically, there's some kind of change that Brad is going through and moving on to I guess to a different way of understanding existence and life and himself, if I'm not mistaken, to where Adronis and what Adronis was doing with him kind of that fulfilled that part. And so it's time for them to kind of go separate ways. Okay, let me see here. Rick, I'm sorry, I just now saw that you raised your hand on Telegram. Go ahead.
Yeah, I thought there's a friend of mine here who's a police officer who I'm not gonna, mention who he is because he wanted to be anonymous. But I was reading once. This is a couple years ago. I was reading Dolores Cannon's The Custodians, and there was a story in there about how a girl had woken up to like four, I guess 5 different beings standing over her that were kind of like brown in color. And like 2 or 3 days after I read that, I went to my friend's house, and her husband is a police officer. Told me the same exact thing happened to him in his room. He's like, "Hey, I want to tell you this story, but I don't really want you to tell anybody else about it, or like, don't tell, don't reveal who I am, right?" And he doesn't live in the city anymore, but I hadn't even told him that I read this book. He's like, "Yeah, I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like kind of frozen. There were like 4 or 5 beings, kind of brownish in color, standing over me, and I was like." Whoa, but I thought that was interesting because it was in the city, and most of the time you hear stories coming from like rural areas, and this guy lives in the city. So I just thought like, oh, I've had people say, well, how come everybody, that sees aliens is out in the countryside where nobody else exists? I'm like, well, it's not true because I know people personally who've experienced it in the city. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up.
Right. Well, at least one example. It's something, Rick, I know I don't usually get into this very often. I'm probably going to try to do a whole show on this, and maybe I actually have several people that I want to contact and that can talk about this regarding like near death and experiences. I'm actually not this Friday. This Friday I'm going to have a numerologist on, so that would be pretty cool. I hope those of you watching log in, and she'll along with doing the interview, she might go through some of you guys' numbers and give you some feedback. So I always think it's pretty cool. And her name is Sally. I can't pronounce her last name yet, but please tune in on Friday. It'll be a 7. But then next Friday, I'm going to be talking to Melinda Greer, and she's had a near-death experience, alien contact, Bigfoot encounters, all kinds of things. I mean, multiple modalities, and she's actually also one of the people that was in that study group for Ray Hernandez when they were doing the research, and so. Anyway, that'll be pretty interesting too. That will be next Friday, whatever date that makes it. So this Friday is going to be Sally going doing numerology, and then Friday after that is going to be Melinda. So But Rick, I wanted to ask you something, and if you can't talk about this, I can understand. But it's something that was, I don't know why it entered my mind, but remember when you were saying you volunteered at a hospice, right? Am I correct or remember that correctly?
Yeah, no, I did.
Can you speak a little bit about that? Where you said it was some lady that was, or somebody, I don't know who it was, if it was your family member, if it was of a specific event at that hospice, that you were kind of saying that usually if they would see a loved one or have talk about so and so came to visit me, or I saw so and so, that soon after that they would pass, and there would seem to be kind of this trend to that. Can you maybe speak a little bit on that?
Yeah, no, actually, this happened to my grandma. So my dad's read a lot about near-death experiences and talked about the same thing that's been documented. Like there's I think it's a book called Future Lives, Past Lives, or maybe the other way around. But yeah, when my grandma was in the hospital, she's 83, dying of cancer. She like went into a state where she would start like calling out to her sister that died. Well, she died in the 80s. Her sister died a long time ago, and my grandma died in 2009. So yeah, her sister was long gone, but she would go kind of like in this state where she would be yelling out to her. Her name was Dode, like Dode, Dode, and she would be like pushing her hand out. And then like I think my dad even asked her, like, or hey, are you really seeing her? Like, and then she would kind of like snap out of it. And then she'd look at my dad and she'd be like, oh no, no, of course not. And then she'd snap back into it, and then she would start calling out to her sister again. And then it wasn't long after that that she kind of just went into kind of like, I guess I wouldn't, just kind of like a coma to where she wasn't like responsive anymore, and then she died. I guess like a few weeks after that.
Right. And what was your, I mean, was there anything specific that you took away from your time volunteering? It was volunteering, or was it a job at the hospice?
No, it was volunteering, but I don't remember. Like I wasn't like spending like a lot of the people that I met, like they were actually awake and actually rather spry. They weren't like in any kind of strange state. So I would just spend time with them or their family. And then like when things got serious and they went to the hospital, I wasn't really there for that. So I didn't really speak to the patients about it. But the experience you're recalling actually came directly from my grandmother.
Okay, I see. All right. It's interesting. I wish there's so many times they were just talking about volunteering. I always have this desire to go and just volunteer someplace to help, whatever, just to make a darn sandwich, or make hundreds of them, whatever, or just to, offer some of the skill levels that I have, which is, a whole list of stuff that I can just maybe help somebody else out. But it's always, all these things happen to always, get in my way, like this darn family. No, it's like one of those, I was thinking, well, maybe I can take a little bit more time. And I'm like, how much more time am I going to take? I'm spending a little time with the family. Most of the time is at work. And then the other odd days I'm doing this, and then it just seemed like this week is going to be super busy, Monday, work, and then the George Nori interview. Then after I was done with that, started more a little bit on that editing on our show that we did. And then on Tuesday, I did the webcast. So that was another 2 hour long interview that I now have to start editing to post coming up next week. And then today doing this. Then tomorrow, there's going to be posting the other video. And then Friday, another interview. It's like, I just don't have the time. I just absolutely don't have the time. It's like during a full time job and doing this, it's like, I can't, I'm just going to burn myself out, and then something's gonna have to give for a while. Rick, are you there? I was.
Yes,
I
I am.
think.
Sorry.
Okay, I was going to say I'm
I'm here.
talking to you. Don't you better not leave me. And the
Oh,
way
so I thought you
the
were talking
reason
to
why I
your
talk
audience.
to Rick the way I talk to him, he's one of my best friends. So we have a totally different relationship than most people that are guests and log in. So just want to explain that before people start thinking I'm being rude to you.
No, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. Oh no, you're not, but somebody else is like, wow, he was so rude to this Rick guy. Wouldn't
What
understand
a
that I
jerk.
know you well.
Yeah, no, you're good, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just part of my personality, just being, what's the word? Very forward. And yeah,
Forward yet accepting. I would say that. Forward yet accepting.
you better say that. Ara on Twitch says you can tell Rick and you are close. LOL. Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know if I ever told you, Rick. It's one of these things like when it comes to friendships or close friends, um I have no problems just being very directive, like, hey, I need your help. Come help me now. And because I know when they would come to me and ask me for the same thing, I would be there in a second. So I never hesitate to just be in this friendly, rude way to just be like, hey, I need your help. Come help. Because I know that if anyone ever just say, hey, I really need your help, I'm there without question, without a doubt. So that's what gives me that, I guess, I don't know, uh give myself an excuse to just not have to be super friendly with all my close friends, because I think they know where I'm coming from. I hope you know where I'm coming from.
I definitely know where you're coming from.
All right, good deal. So yeah, are you planning to stick around the United States, or are you going to desert this country again and go to Colombia?
I mean, at this point, with with the recent situations in my life, I'm not really sure. But I mean, usually I end up getting like bored here, and I always end up wanting to go back to Colombia. But Colombia is back in like protest again right now, and so I don't know if it's exactly a good idea to even go now or wait until their elections next year, because things are just completely screwed up. So I don't know. We'll see. I might go to Mexico. We'll see.
Right. Well, are you still helping China invade the United States?
You know, that's so funny you say that, because like okay, so one of the friends I met in Colombia like
Yeah.
during the pandemic was a fellow VIP kid teacher.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, actually I probably shouldn't say this. So I'm not going to say that right now. Actually I just mentioned the company's name. Uh but yeah, we used to kind of joke about stuff like that, like,
Yeah,
oh my
because
god, maybe
when
we're
you
like
told
helping
me,
them.
like, what are you doing? I'm like, I teach kids English. I'm like, great. What are you teaching? It's like Chinese kids. I'm like, wonderful. Good job, Rick. I mean, I haven't
Yeah,
told you
no,
that
I
yet.
mean,
This is the
but
first time I mentioned it, but
yeah, but it's interesting though, because like we have an opportunity as online teachers, since we're teaching, the children one on one in their homes. It's almost like we're being brought into, a Chinese family's home, from abroad. So you kind of get some interesting insight as to how they think and how they work. And there's, I mean, just like anywhere else, you just realize that all of us are human. So we get this idea over here that all Chinese kids are like super, super disciplined and work really hard, and they do work hard. A lot of the parents like have their kids involved in so many activities, but you see all kinds of different like behavioral problems and parents just letting their kids run around and do whatever they want, just like you see here. So in that respect, I mean, there's not that many differences between us, them, and them at all. So it's
right,
pretty funny,
right.
actually.
Well, I mean, I don't know. The only reason why I say that, especially when just from our perspective, it's watching the news and whatever alternative or mainstream, whatever they can give us. It's everywhere you look. It's like China is, stealing, patents plants. Basically, it's like I didn't know that you basically, in order to produce something in China, you have to give your full rights to whatever you're producing. So they have the entire plan of that item, so then they can recreate a replica of that. So like iPhone, was Sam, or Android phone, or any product, I was not aware of that, and that was kind of messed up. So if you want something to be produced in China to be shipped into United States, it's like, yeah, you're gonna have to give up the rights to your patents.
No, I mean, there's I don't know if you follow Johnny Harris on YouTube, and he did a really interesting video on like what China is up to, and he
Hmm.
talks about this kind of stuff. But he also goes into like how it's that kind of stuff is really like a superpower game, because if you go to South America, well, actually, I don't even know if you've read the book. There's the book called Confessions of an Economic Hitman. It was
Economic
a guy
hitman.
in the United States.
Why did I know you were going there with that? Yeah, I know most people don't know that it's like the way it's very simply set up. It's in a way the West and United States and other countries do it too, but for some reason I don't know. I feel there's more unrest, more of a discord that would be happening. Um, if China, because China a lot of times, they'll go to these different places like, oh, we'll help you out economically and build bridges and hospitals and all this other stuff. Oh, and if you can't pay back, we're gonna take over your, cobalt mine, take over your, gold mine or silver mine or any of these precious metals. So they pretty much own all these different mines and resources all over the world because these small countries that were duped into getting into the loan, they can't pay it back. That's unfortunate there. And and I love the United States, so this, and everyone else that watched me for any period of time, know this as well. It's like I am an American. My wife is an American. All my children are American. So I mean this as a patriot. But for me, I know, having lived in other countries, that there's some things that the United States does that most Americans don't know. And when the rest of the world gets pissed off for him about it, the average American sits back, he's saying, hey, what did we do? Why are you so mad at us? It's like, well, gee, I don't know. You just, bombed this place and most Americans didn't know about it. Only comes out later. You know what I keep thinking about? Do you remember the story you told me when you were in Japan and you guys were sitting at some kind of bar or some kind of outside bistro or something, and you were talking to Australians and people that were backpacking throughout Asia in general? Do you remember that story?
Oh, you mean the one where the guy said that if Hitler had won, that would have been good for Europe, something like that?
Uh, no, 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 no. I'd never heard you say that one. No, the one where you basically, this guy was talking about backpacking to this place, and you said, "Oh, I've never heard of the place. Where is that?" And he just looked. He says, "That's because you haven't bombed it yet."
Oh yeah, yeah. That was that was one of my friends from Germany. He was just joking, of course, but he's like, "Oh yeah, it
Okay.
was actually some country in Africa." And I've got, at the time, of course, I'm 21. I didn't really know anything. Yeah, so although at least I was in Japan, exploring the world at the time. But yeah, I was like, "Yeah, I've never heard of that country." He's like, "Oh, that's because you haven't bombed them yet." I'm like, "All right, all right." you know.
Oh boy, it must suck being an American and carrying passport. That's funny.
No, the thing is, it matters to people who take it personally. I don't take it personally. Like to me, that was something. Well, at least for me, I learned once I went abroad. Like, every country is a country. Like the United States is just another country. There's lots of great things about it, sure, but it's just another country. So I was born here, just like everybody else is born where they're born in, and but the world is a place for us all to explore. So yes, I mean, just like I don't associate myself with the actions of my government, although I can see why other people might want to do that, but other people don't do that either. I mean, Colombians, for example, they're so detached because things are so corrupt there. They're just kind of like, yep, things are pretty screwed up, but we're just going to go dance and have a good time tonight. So I look at myself as an explorer, and I acknowledge, like like you said about the bombings and negative things that happen. Like, these are governments that just do what they do. So like, I don't take it personally, unless like somebody actually wants to like threaten me personally. Because I did meet one guy who's like, "Oh, you're an American, you're a piece of," I'm like, "All right, I don't need to go there with you, dude." Like,
Right,
whatever.
right, right.
So
But
that's how I look at it.
I don't know how you feel about it. I don't think I've ever actually asked you directly, but you know, um, obviously, I immigrated to the United States 20 years ago, and I've seen quite a bit of the world and know how it is somewhere else. And I personally don't want to permanently live and call home anywhere else but the United States, and especially where I am now, where my family is. But those that don't know you that well, you backpacked through Asia, you backpacked through South America pretty much. You've been to, all these different places to where you got to see, all the good parts and the bad parts everywhere else. Would you still agree with the saying that at the end of the day, the United States, is still the best place to live and call home?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, it's the safest place, and it's the most functional, and it's the most organized, at least from the places I've been to. Now, I haven't been to Europe. I haven't. I have a fascination for countries like South America and Thailand because they're like so vastly different.
Well, let's give
But
it.
I mean,
Let's
there's
give it
also a
real quick.
reason why.
So basically, you back when you did your Asian backpack. Name all the countries where you went through, please, if you don't mind.
We started through Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, and Laos. Those four countries,
Okay, and then you've been to
and
Japan as
then
well.
Japan. Oh yeah, so yeah, that's a pretty, yeah, that country. I was there for 3.5 months as a student, and then in 2016, I decided to go to South America. So I started in Colombia, and then I went to Ecuador, Peru, and Bolivia. And then I decided, man, Colombia is so interesting. I want to spend another year and another year. So I keep going back there.
Okay, and
And
so
now
right.
I've driven my car. Now I since took a road trip through Mexico too. So that was pretty cool. That was, a month ago.
Right. And so, as an American traveling, and especially if you have to show documents, it will be American documents. So, how did that feel to you? What is? I mean, what I'm trying to say is, you just, let me literally, what, couple of weeks ago came back, so it's pretty accurate information regarding this, because we can get mainstream news regarding this, and it's always going to be slanted one way or another. But from your perspective, were you having issues? Were you having difficulties to any of those countries having American papers?
No, actually, to be quite honest with you, I have more difficulty coming back to the United States than anywhere else. Like because of here, like I've been treated with absolute respect everywhere I've gone. And actually, I should say, like, I got searched once in Colombia, actually, the first time. They stopped me and asked me to, like, they actually pulled my laptop out and asked, to look at it. I was like, whoa.
You're like,
But they were
no, not
super
my
nice.
porn.
Well, and I think they knew what they were looking for, because they turned on my laptop, and as soon as they saw the title screen, they're just like, "Oh, okay," and they just shut it down. But they've always been very, very nice everywhere I've gone, and the security is a lot more lax. You don't need to take your shoes off and all this other junk. But then when you come back to the United States, like, the TSA is yelling and screaming at you, and I mean, I feel like when I come back to the States, and other travelers I've spoke to feel the same way. You get treated like a criminal, like you come back here. Some of them are like, what have you been doing abroad so long? It's like, dude, I just want to get home. And so it sucks because,
It's almost
this
like a
this country has a
paranoid.
lot of great. Well, I was gonna say this country has a lot of great things about it, but I see why people like want to hate the United States, because we have that edge where it's like this kind of threatening, like, oh, you got to prove like why you're good enough to even come back here. It's just a really weird thing, and they make you feel intimidated when you come back. So I always hate coming back through the TSA because I know that they're going to give me some grief about something. But when
Right.
I go abroad, they're they're very nice. Like actually in Mexico, I had
Hold
a
on, Rick.
tripod
Rick,
in my
hold on.
backpack.
Hold that thought. I want to continue this
Sure.
conversation, but I think this is something you need to address, especially for um, this particular person, Edward Sosa. He says, "Heaven, tell us, how does it feel to have money to travel? Being rich feels great." Well, Rick, everyone that knows you, you're such a rich dude. Why don't you tell us about traveling and what it's actually like? Because everyone thinks you
Well,
have
so
to be
I don't
rich to
exactly.
travel.
So I don't exactly know what he means by that.
Well,
I mean, because a
basically,
rich
but
is relative too.
well, no.
Um,
What I'm
but
saying is, when you hear, oh, went to all these different countries, they're thinking that you like stayed at these great places, and that it was like this, hundreds of dollars spent to stay at one place and then enjoy, and then you move on somewhere else. Why don't you like just break it down
sure.
and actually explain? Because it's not, from what I know about you and from what I remember, unless I'm wrong, it's not like it at all.
Absolutely no, absolutely not. It's interesting because the job that I left, I came back there. I worked at Costco for 6 years, and I did make great money there. But like I quit, and people there, when I came back, I came to find out they thought that I had cashed out my 401k to do what I was doing. There's one guy's like, "All right, tell me, how much did it cost you? 30,000, 40,000?" I'm like, "No, actually, I saved up like, well, I did save up like to initially do backpacking. I saved up like 10,000." So
Mhm.
yeah, I did, but I saved it, and I had to pay off a lot. I worked hard to stash that money away, and I even used like my management skills to like create like a future and like projections as to
How
when I could
long
do
how
it. So I
long did it
planned this
take you
trip
to
like
save that up?
2 years. And
2
once I had
years.
my mind set on it, and I had credit card debt, I had a car to pay off. So I had to cut my expenses and I had to work really hard. And like I even saved up my vacation and calculated that to, because I knew once I quit, they would pay that out. So yeah, that initially got me to just kind of travel and do what I wanted for 4 months. But like what was it, Southeast Asia? No, I actually charged my credit card and paid like $1,500 to take a ticket there, and then I charged other stuff, and I was in debt for a while after that.
Yeah,
And
but
then
basically,
like I
what I
went to
mean, just
Costco.
to, I'm gonna cut to the chase. It basically you stayed at hostels, so it's like not the best conditions. The cheapest places you could stay, what was it, like $10 a day or something? What
Yeah, oh
was it?
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and then
exactly
you
right. Yeah, so when
right,
I backpacked in both places, I stayed in the cheapest place that I could find. So yeah, it is true. I'm rocking dollars, right? So dollars carry a lot further. That is true. So yeah, I have that edge to be able to do that. But no, I'm not staying in like 5-star hotels and living this lavish lifestyle. Like there were a lot of places that were kind of dirty. I stayed in like bunks where there were places where like 25
right.
people were staying in
Well, and
them.
not only that, you
Um,
coming back, you weren't coming back to a job. You weren't coming back to an apartment. Like there was nothing there for you. Most likely would have probably
no,
gone back to your parents just for a little bit until then you found a job and then maybe be able to move back out again, right?
No, in fact, I came back. I got certified to teach English because I wanted to live abroad.
Right.
So I did that. I picked up a seasonal job. I also picked up a second job catering to help, make back the money I spent. And so I could go back to Colombia. And then when I went back to Colombia, I worked in pesos. And I was making like 2.4 million pesos a month, which is actually really high for a lot of people. But that only comes to be about $700 a month. And I had a car to pay for still, the insurance. It was very difficult to live on that. And I did that for a year, and I ended up coming home because like things happened with my contract. But I came home with $700 in my bank account, and I
Right.
had to like work and get it all back. And luckily, I had a job lined up, a catering job, and went back to it and worked again. And then I got an online teaching job and went back, and that's how I did. So no, I've been working most of the time that I went abroad. I only like traveled leisurely for 4 months after I saved a lot of money that most people would probably put down on a house. But I decided, like, you know what? I just want to go and travel and see what that's like. And that's what I did. But no,
Yeah.
I'm not
Well,
rich
but
by
yeah,
any
but after you
means.
saved
I don't.
up and all that, well, I just wanted to clarify that. I wanted to because a lot of times when people only think the way to go is the way we tradition. I mean, just hell, I'm looking for a place for family of five uh, entirely to just go and maybe stay somewhere for a few days and to just have enough space for everybody, and it's just like 2-3 grand just to go for 3-4 days, and this is just to
Yeah.
stay, you know and I'm just like, how in the world, so we're like, all right, well, I guess we want to try next year, and so what I'm saying is that, anytime when people hear others traveling, they always think like, oh, you must come for money so you don't have to worry about anything. I'm sure you're worried constantly where you're going to get your money from, you know
Well, yeah, I mean, well, and especially when I was working in pesos. I mean, it got to the point where like, I had to walk or take the cheapest transportation, which meant sometimes taking a 2-hour bus ride instead of taking a taxi ride to get somewhere because I was living on that lower wage. And I also like I couldn't go to fancy restaurants. And I remember the last thing that happened was like that put it in perspective was I bought a laser printer, which was like because I felt like I needed it for my job and like it ran out of ink and buying like a $150 like toner was something I really had to think about and put off because I couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford that.
right.
So it was tough. But the thing is though, of course, being from America, it is true. I can just leave and go back home, right? So I do have that advantage. That's definitely true. But I'm not like a rich like trust fund baby that's spending my parents' money doing whatever I want. No,
Right.
absolutely not.
All right. Well, anyway, I just wanted to clarify that. So, anyway, you want to go back to what you were saying. So, you said you were searched. They were polite about your place. I mean, about searching your stuff and looking at your laptop. And then what else was going on?
Well, with that particular story, I mean, I don't exactly know what that was about, but what was interesting was I had been in Colombia for an extended stay because of the pandemic. And I was also had been traveling with a Russian girlfriend at the time, and we went to Ecuador, and there was some weird stuff with our passports there because of all this stuff. So anyway, I got stopped at the airport, and then she also got stopped at the airport when she left. And 3 days after that, there was a story on my Google news feed that said that there were three Russian spies, or what they thought to be three Russian spies, that were interrogated and expelled from the country just 3 days
Hmm.
after that.
Right.
So I'm wondering if that had something to do with it. But I don't know. But they were really nice. They were really, really nice and respectful. They didn't get in my face or treat me not badly. They were always very respectful.
Well, tell me a little bit. How was Colombia in general during the lockdowns there? I mean, I know they went like totally crazy. Can you a little bit maybe go a little bit into that?
Well, during the lockdown, actually, things were surprisingly calm, at least in the area that I was in. So, they locked everything down. The streets were, almost completely desolate. You could still take a taxi, but at night they would fly these helicopters around and like blow sirens and announce, like if there's a curfew, you need to go inside. And from that respect, like, I don't know. I mean, I didn't go all over the city because we weren't really supposed to travel. And of course, I mean, I didn't want to risk getting COVID at first either. But the lockdown was tough, and a lot of people lost their jobs. I saw businesses like closing up, like as the months went on. So that happened, but the craziness didn't really start until in April when they had their protests because the president wanted to pass a 19% sales tax on everybody and lower the tax threshold to encompass more people in the lower income area, and people just absolutely raged over that. So that's when things got really crazy.
Oh wow. So I mean, was that basically when then yeah, when I what was going on when I tried to contact you? Because I saw immediately on Disclosed.tv that they were like shooting people on the street and all kinds of stuff was happening. And at that time, I knew that you were living close by that. So I was trying to contact you. I was serious about it. I'm like, Rick, if I need to send the Arkansas National Guard down there, you just let me know. It's like whatever I can do because it looked pretty bad. So can you tell me a little bit what was going on there?
Yeah, so actually, it's actually kind of hard to tell exactly what was going on because there were a lot of, I think there's a lot of different factions involved in Colombia. Like a lot of it's historical too. There's so much going on. But from what I understand is there were people that blockaded like roads, like main transit points where products were able to come into the city. And they were doing this on purpose to get the president's attention. So supplies were locked off, shipping, like trucks were not allowed to bring like vegetables and fruits and iPads, anything you can think of. They weren't allowed to bring it into the city. So you started seeing restaurants like offering like very slim menus. You couldn't get chicken. The price of potatoes went up like 10 times. It
Oh
was
wow.
crazy. But then there were also people that were getting in firefights with the police, and it was hard to say like who was doing what because I never actually witnessed that myself. There were videos all over the place, but there were videos of where like the police would be standing around in a line, and then there would be like unarmed protesters, just yelling and screaming or whatever. But then there would actually be like these civilian-looking men standing with the police, holding guns, like one-handed pistols, shooting at people. And like one of the videos took place in an area where I used to work. Like I knew the area really well. In fact, I actually rode my bike with my girlfriend down there, a few months before that, so I knew the area well, but these guys were shooting and you even heard the bullets like, bouncing off, like, like the sound effect you hear in the movie. You actually heard the real thing in these videos, on these
Hmm.
cell phone videos. So it was really strange to see like police shooting at unarmed people. And there wasn't a lot of evidence showing protesters shooting at police. It was more police shooting at protesters. But there are also videos of police helping too. So like where I was, the police weren't even present. Like it was almost like complete anarchy. I never saw the police, rarely. So you had that. You also had like paramilitary that was said to be descending in the city. So, and then the military was brought in, but and then like civilians would block the roads too and burn tires. And then something happened to where they said like the government in Colombia said like, well, we have this law where we can't allow like the military or the police to like really interfere with like blockades and stuff. So they didn't. So it was the first time I'd been in a place where I was like, oh my God, like there's absolutely like no control here. Like the government here has no control. The mayor looks completely helpless. and it got messy.
Wow. Well, Rick, I don't want to change the gear on you here, but so you lived there for quite a bit. So, for this, obviously for sake of this channel, wanted to ask you, what is people's mindset in general, if you ever got into it, regarding UFOs and ghosts and all this other stuff that we talk on this show in generally? Can you speak maybe a little bit on that?
I mean, Colombians, I didn't talk to too many Colombians. I have a Venezuelan friend who's very interested in all that stuff. But there's a lot more foreigners, I think, from like Europe who kind of laugh at us because they're like, oh, UFOs, that's such a US thing. Like they think that's like, so I don't really know. I get the idea that we're kind of laughed at by some other countries in the world because we're so, crazy about it. I mean, obviously, you have people who call in on this show and who are members of this show who are in other parts of the world, but the people that I met seem to have this idea that it's a U.S. thing to be so crazy about UFOs.
And this was specifically a Colombian thing?
No, this was more people from like Europe that I met because I met lots of different travelers in Colombia.
Right.
And yeah,
Yeah,
I got
that's
that a
okay.
lot.
Got it.
Oh, that's
No, I
even
meant, I
a
meant
religion
like,
thing.
did you have an opportunity to actually, actually talk to the natives, to, the people living there, not just the foreigners visiting? Of course, we know what Europe's point of view is, and Europe, United States are always going to be button heads.
Right. No, actually, I didn't really talk to any Colombians about it.
Okay. Yeah, all right. I figured I'll just ask. Yeah, because I know maybe soon I might have Red Pill Junkie back on. He's in Mexico City, I believe. And so we talk about just, more of the UFOs in a Mexican perspective, just basically because he's a researcher, but in Mexico, and just talking about from, like I said, from the Mexican point of view about what UFOs are, and it just seems like things are a lot more open. What's really weird is that, like, for example, in Bosnia, they're very much into folklore, but not so much into like UFOs and stuff. So for example, like, they would often talk about premonitions, and I remember there would always be stories, farmers, and even on my mom's side, it's they're basically just farmers and living off the land. So even when I was a kid and visiting, there'll always be stories. It's like I was working on the field, and there was this man with the sickle and cutting grass, but no grass was moving, and all this other stuff. They would always talk about these, and they very much believed into that. But then when UFOs or anything like that was not prevalent whatsoever, and then of course there's all these different sometimes, a lot of times, the religion and culture mesh, because especially because if you look at Islam and then you look at Bosnians in general, because most because there's Bosnians, you have Bosnian Muslims, you have Bosnian Catholics, and Bosnian Orthodox, and so they Christian Orthodox. So there's they intertwine their culture and intertwine um, the religion. So sometimes you can't differentiate, like, is this part of your religion, or is this, because it's like nowhere in Quran does it say that when like, I remember my grandma, she would used to drive me nuts, especially when I was a kid. You have to, if I was putting on my pants, I have to put my right leg through the pants leg first, then the left. If I was putting on a shirt, my right hand go through the shirt first, then my left, because you will tempt the devil. If you do it, you will put your left hand, through your shirt first. And there's all this other stuff. If you get
Right.
out of bed, you put your right leg on the floor first. That's how you start out the right way, in your day. And it seems so silly now, but there's people still, parts of that, especially the older generation, not the younger generation so much, but they're very much into that. And there's always a basis and a reason for that stuff, and somehow it intertwined itself into cultural and religious. Sometimes you can't differentiate. You were like, you don't know what is religion and what is culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway,
No, that's interesting. But Yeah, I mean, of course, like, well, your caller before, like Ken, your guest you had, mentioning Machu Picchu and stuff, you get
Right.
into like South America and start seeing places like that. It's really interesting. It's quite a peculiar feeling to be in a place like that. Because especially a place like Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu was not discovered by the Spanish. They like kind of missed it.
Hmm.
And it's like a very mysterious place, so it's to see that it's like, whoa, wow, what happened here?
That's
It's
the
crazy.
large structure on top of a mountain, basically, right?
Well,
Machu Picchu.
yeah, well, I mean, it's a village on top of a mountain,
Oh,
yeah, and then there's
village.
other
Okay, so
structures too.
right.
Yeah. But what's really interesting is in the city of Cusco, which is where the it was the Incas, yeah. There was like an
Rick, do you
Inca
mind if I
village
pull up
before.
your Facebook page and show
Sure.
just that picture? Is that okay? I won't show much of your
Yeah, of
profile.
course.
Keep
Sure. I mean,
talking. I
I
know.
don't
I'm
I don't
just
post
to give
like,
people an idea because that's pretty cool. Actually, that picture. It's like, and I guess others have told you that too. That's probably one of their uh favorite
well, and of course, I
things.
dressed up to look the part. I've got my Colombian hat and one of those ponchos. Like, look at me, and I had to get the signature photo that everybody gets when they go there. But now I got mine. But
You
what I
tourist,
thought was
you.
really interesting though. Yeah, yeah, I did. I remember some like Japanese people like came up to me like, "Oh, can we get your picture?" like, yeah, cool.
Did
Yeah,
you
just
change your?
walking around by
Okay,
myself.
sorry, I
But yeah,
couldn't
just being a
recognize you again.
goofball.
You changed your profile picture.
Oh, what do I look like now? Oh, it's like me wearing some sunglasses behind or something like
Yeah.
that now.
Okay,
Riggs
I'm
Ellie
sorry. Go on.
3. That's my
Right.
profile. So anyway, in Cusco, they so when the Spanish came through, and they have a lot of this is in Mexico too, the same type of thing. Like they destroyed this village, and they built their structures on top of the Incan bases. So when you go to Cusco, yeah, you have like this Spanish architecture, and then the base of it are these large boulders. And the reason they did that is because the Incas had found a way to build structures that were like impervious to earthquakes.
Mm-hmm.
And the Spanish knew that. But then the Spanish like to build their stuff on top of everything to kind of like show everybody, hey, look, we took over your stuff. But those bases are still like that. So they built on top of those bases because they're impervious to earthquakes. And it's just interesting that the Incas had that kind of knowledge and that kind of technology with something that looks primitive. Um,
Right.
that just blew my mind when I saw that. We learned that on a city tour.
Okay, let me see here. Okay, I had lost my browser page, but I think I'm back now. Okay, there you are. Yeah, that's I'm showing a picture of you standing there with your very I don't know what do you call that outfit? Is that the Chilean outfits? Is that
With the thing that I'm wearing in the Machu Picchu picture.
yeah, you have a hat and you're staring off into the mountains.
Oh, well, let's see. Well, I've got a Colombian hat, a poncho that I bought in a small village in Peru, and an REI backpack. So I don't
Yeah,
think that's just a Rick Zelly attire. That's
right.
nothing yeah,
It's a
authentic
beautiful
by any
picture you're
means.
just looking over. So these structures are the ones you're referring to that made them more impervious to earthquakes.
Some of those, yeah. Well, I mean, those are still, there's a lot of restoration there. No, the ones I'm talking about are actual functioning buildings in Cusco, like in the city of Cusco. Like the city of Cusco is like down near the base. Well, it's not at the base of Machu Picchu, but it's near Machu Picchu. And all those buildings, like, they've got shops and restaurants and things in them, but they're old Spanish buildings that are on top of Incan bases made from boulders and stuff. Yeah, they're functioning buildings that people still use today.
Right. What about what while you were there, were there any kind of discussions about who might have built this? Is there a pretty good a documented event of who built them, or was there some mystery around it that you know as to
Well,
who was there?
I think they're pretty certain that it was the Incas,
Mm-hmm.
because the Incas occupied that whole area, but they don't know exactly what the purpose of Machu Picchu was. They don't have any idea. There's theories. They think that it could have been a place to study astronomy. It could have been a place where they where it was like a science study lab type area, but they really don't have any idea actually.
Right. Okay. Um, I just saw Niels Christian here. Yeah, if you're just here to listen, awesome. If you wanted to talk to me, make sure you tap on the little raised hand guide. That way, I know you want to talk. Otherwise, I'm just gonna, have Rick keep on talking about his experiences. Yeah, just some of you out there that you don't know, if you come in, you have to raise your hand. Otherwise, I don't know that you want to speak to me, and so that they'll tell me, oh, there's someone else in the queue that wants to get a chance. Otherwise, I'll just whoever I'm talking to at that time give him more time, or might switch to something else. Um, well, Rick, do you mind if I switch over to Niels? I really appreciate you sharing your stories and telling me so far what you did, and hopefully
No,
in the future you
the
can,
pl-
you're not, we, as people will see tomorrow during the psychedelic experiences, myself, Rick, and Nathan, they're kind of like the triad experiencer group. We each one of us had our own individual experiences, but we also had some collective experiences, which you will hear about it tomorrow. And so you really get to know a person very well. And when you've been to these crazy places with psychedelics with others, I mean, it creates a bond that I don't know if you can describe it in the same way that you just trust a person more. I don't know about how you feel, Rick.
yeah, I agree with that for sure.
So what I was going to say, there's plenty of stuff that you and I can continue to talk about, especially when it's when there's sometimes not enough or not people not logging in to want to share their stories, because you and I have a lot to talk about, to share, because we used to do that all the time when I was in Robertsville, you and me and Nathan, or sometimes just you and I, and just all the craziness that happens and experiences. But there's nothing to say we can't continue them doing that online.
Yeah, no, of course. No, I appreciate you letting me talk about it. And I'm glad if people stayed and listened, thanks for listening. And I hope you found it interesting.
Yeah, no, thank you, Rick. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right, my friend. Yeah, I'll switch over to Niels, and you hang tight, listen, or do whatever you got to do now. Okay, Rick is muted. Uh, Niels, you are unmuted on my end. Unmute yourself on yours, and you should be able to speak to me.
Good evening. How are you?
Just fine. How you doing?
Good. I wanted to tell you about my CE5 experience. Do you know
Please
about
do.
CE5?
Yes, yes, please
Are
do.
you aware of CE5? So this is what I did. I went to a really nice campsite with my sweetheart, and basically, when I got to the campsite, I saw this greenish blue static ball of light, fly up the lake, and it was almost like at a 15-degree angle kind of thing, and just rip up the lake at nighttime. And so I knew something special was going on with that. And so that night in the camper, I basically started doing my breathing exercises. So 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, all the way up to maybe 10 or 15 to go into an oxygen-rich state and allow your DMT to release into your body, from your mind. And so what I did next was I just filled up my mind, my spirit with like the feeling of love and of unity and understanding and welcoming, and I just basked on those for quite some time, and then basically what I did was I showed in my mind the Andromeda galaxy. I looked at my mind's eye and basically looked kind of visualized being on the edge of the Andromeda galaxy, and then our solar system with the sun and visiting all the different planets, and then Earth, and then to the continent, right down to your location from the macro to the micro. And then I just fell asleep. And then the next night, we didn't think too much of it. You went fishing and canoeing, had a great day, whatever. And I was ready to go to bed. And all of a sudden, I see this like red kind of ball coming down the lake the same like direction. The other one went kind of low, and I thought to myself, this isn't an airplane. Like what? There's no airport around here. This is not. What is this like? So I said to my sweetheart, I said, let's go. Let's go to the beach. Unfortunately, we got this campsite, and we quickly ran to the beach. I was super close, and this object, it was if you know like 4K TV, this was like 1000K TV kind of thing.
Hmm.
So the richness of this craft, the technology was just incredible. And so it was like a horizontal egg, but a fat egg kind of thing. It was about 50 feet wide, and it was about 150 feet above us, and it just simply went over top of us, and then for about a minute, slowly go on top of us silently, and it was orange and red, and it had like this. Um, Basically, it was two sections where the lower section of the orange was rounded at the bottom. If you can envision that, so it's kind of like off-centered, like a smile almost at the bottom, two-thirds
Right.
at the bottom. Anyways, and it just did a right turn and just shot into the night sky like I've never seen anything ever move. It was like Star Trek, how it took off, 45-degree angle. And so other people came to the beach and they're like, "What happened?" I just told them straight up, and we're overwhelmed. I lay on the beach and just cried, looking at the stars. And it's funny. The next morning, because of the campsite, it's really quiet. The people across from us were already gone. They must have not slept a minute, and then because they were gone first thing in the morning. And yeah, that was incredible experience.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. So, do you do DC 5 sessions often, or was this just like a one-off?
Well, I've done similar ones like
Hold on, Niels. Can I
did
ask
a
you a quick
basically
question? So
sure.
are you on your phone right now?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any way you can kind of hold your phone to the side of your mouth, but speak into just straightforward, so you're not directly hitting the
How's
breath
this?
on your
How's this
mic?
right now? How's
Say it
this right
again.
now?
Perfect.
How
Thank
is
you. Yeah,
this?
no, yeah,
Yeah,
no,
better. Oh,
it's
sorry
great.
about
Yeah,
that.
because it was too much of the wind hitting the mic,
Okay,
and
moving
so
along.
a lot cleaner now.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. So what you're saying?
I was saying, do you do the CE5 sessions often, or is this just a one-off thing?
Well, I've done a guided meditation. Basically, I had two friends that were sincere about learning about meditation. So I played. It's called. His name is Stephen Halpern, and he did a recording in the Great Pyramid. You can YouTube him chanting the Om frequency, basically. So I did a guided meditation, did some Om. I gave them direction how to do their own meditation, and then I did my own meditation. And this yellow ball of light basically appeared at the on the lake and just slowly went up the lake, like almost like an angelic type of ball, like you'd see like the angel on the top of a Christmas tree.
So
So that
what's
happened.
going to go into your mind while before you witness this physically?
Well, what's going through my mind? Well, that was manifestation. That incident was manifestation. All of a sudden, this ball of light appeared after we did this guided meditation and everything. It's just goodness, and just going through CE5, and I can't exactly recall what I was doing, but it was just pure intent
Right.
and sincere understanding, and just love and not fearing it, just exploring and seeing, what's possible really. What's what are really possible as human beings, and what's really going on here. That's
What made
basically
you
the
want to
drive, right?
right? What made you want to start with the C5? Was it something that you were watching or read about, or can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, well, well. I think I've always thought like I was raised in the Christian faith, and um, I always thought there's something more than the Bible was talking about. And so I was 14 years old, sleeping in the basement. And one time I woke up and I couldn't move. It's never happened before. It hasn't happened since, right? And I couldn't move. And I'm pretty sure there were some beings behind me in the room. And then one got closer to me, and I got very scared and passed out. And I like the fact that I couldn't move. So clearly, something's going on, right?
Right.
And another time too. So after that incident was 2013, the one on the beach one. The next year, went to this went to basically a nice lake spot, quiet spot, and we were just playing games, friends and whatnot. And it was late at night, and I want to get some fresh air, so we all walked to the beach. And we're walking along the beach. The waves are moving. All of a sudden, became very like magnetic, and like the moon like drew in, and the waves stopped moving, and all my friends stopped. So I go to my best buddy, and I said, like, "Why'd you stop?" And there was no response. He was in paralysis. And so I was waving my hands. Then I went to the other four friends, and there was no, they were frozen. And so I'm like, what
Hold
the
on. I'm
is
sorry.
going
You
on here,
almost blew
right?
my eardrums out. There was some. You hit the mic
Sorry,
with your breath hard. Sorry.
sorry,
Yeah. You just
sorry, sorry. And then
go ahead.
I thought, what's going on here? Why are they in paralysis? Like, why is this, what is going on, basically, right? So then I see in the distance these like tall black figures. And I'm like, I gotta go see what's going on here. So I don't recall going running to them or how I got there, but all of a sudden I'm like a foot away from this being, and you know, he, he was about probably 9 feet, quite possibly, just towering over me, right? And I looked right in his eyes, because at first I was like, gonna say like, "Hey, do you know what's going on here?" The second that I realized, when I looked at his eyes, it just changed my tune totally.
Hmm.
And I looked at his eyes, basically were so big, and the iris part, like the color part in people's eyes, was so wide, and it had so many different colors in them. They're like sliced like swirls kind of thing, and there were thousands and thousands of those, and then they're golds and blues and like purples and like whites, and just incredible. And I was like, what is this being? And so I just said to him, "Who are you? You can't be here." And then he said in a super deep voice, gargled voice, said, "We can come and go whenever we want. Nothing can stop us."
Mm.
And then I looked at his face, and the fact that he had like this black hood, like a turtleneck thin hood, and he was tall and skinny. He had the very like um, white skin, big cheeks, kind of flat cheeks, like a small nose, and the teeth weren't very pretty, what I saw, and like jagged kind of thing. And so I was just like, what the heck? And then we just that
So you're
ended,
saying there
and
was more
next
of a
thing you know, we were
physicality
back
to
at the
this
cottage.
being?
Well, these things, there's three of them in triangular formation. They're about
Hmm.
30 feet apart. These are solid beings, just like walk up to another human being.
Right.
These beings are there on the beach, and I talked to them, and that's reality. So,
Right.
uh, whether you're prepared or not for reality, that's what happened. So, so it was overwhelming. And we went back to the cottage, and we just like passed out, and like I didn't even talk on the way home or for a couple of days. That's a strange part. And then my sweetheart, I was like, it's like, fuck, something happened. Like, it was outrageous. And I told her, and then went to the party the following weekend, and the people were there again. And I just brought it up, and they're like, yeah, they just said, a friend just said they saw me go up to these guys in black suits, and that was it. I was like, you don't recall me like waving my hand in front of you, like being all in your face? And I said, no. Okay, okay then. Well, that happened. So, like, I've seen a lot of their crafts too, right? Like, I saw one that was I was fishing away in a very remote spot, and first thing in the morning, look up, and there's this like tic tac, silver silver object, like 50, 80,000 feet up there. I just stared at it for 5 minutes in a row,
Hmm.
nonstop, and all of a sudden it disappeared, like on and off switch, like faster than a light switch. It was just gone. Um, Funny incident. I went to this. So one day, went to the wedding, and on the weekend, I said to this one guy, "You have super heavy bias towards crafts," and I said to him, I
Towards
told him
what?
my
I'm
stories. I'm
sorry.
like, dude, there's this met this guy, and he had a very heavy bias to UFOs. He's like, there's no way they're here, and I'm like,
Oh, I
oh,
see.
definitely they're
Okay.
here, buddy. I told him my experiences and all this, and then on the next day around the same time, we both saw this funny object just slowly going from kind of like south to east to west kind of thing, slowly going in the air, and it was like it was almost like a pinkish gold type of object. If anything, it was like some sort of fancy balloon. But I looked at the shape of it, and like there's no one makes a balloon that shape. That was interesting. Another thing I saw too was this. It was far in the distance. It did like a semicircle, pretty high up. Basically, it was like a green, almost like the lower two halves of a snowman. And imagine the head coming off. So it's just the body and the lower legs, the bigger round part, right? That was the shape of it. And then within that, there was this orange, or sorry, this red uh, light that lit up for like 5 seconds, and then just disappeared for like two slowly, and it faded slowly, and then it lit up for like 5 seconds, and then it dimmed for like 3 seconds, and the other one was like 6 seconds. So it was changing. I just did a semicircle and just left the night sky. Another time too, I saw this kind of like golden. It was like this golden rounded wings at the bottom, basically. Instead of like the wings straight out, they're kind of curled underneath, rounded. And I saw it just go across the sky. So it lit up for like in the same trajectory. It lit up for like a couple seconds, and then it dimmed, and then the same speed it lit up again for a couple seconds, and then it was gone. So
Wow, yeah,
yeah,
that's
and
quite a few of it.
these
So,
are
basically, other than these observations, was there anything else that you got from that, or can you tell us more?
yeah. I can
Meaning,
tell you
was
whatever
it
you want.
simply just a witnessing, or was there more that was there? Was there some kind of maybe psychic interaction of some sorts or anything like that?
Well, yeah, well, and then the latest was like 2019. I woke up from my bed, and it was just the sun was just coming up, and something woke me up, and I sat up in the bed and looked at the end of the bed, and there was this like 3.5 foot tall being with small eyes just smiling at me, just gleaming, and it had like the smile lines like he'd been smiling for centuries. And I just was so overwhelmed that I woke up to this being. I just passed out, went back to sleep. So that happened. So something's going on here, right? There's really nothing I can do about it. It's happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's I've seen other crafts too, like this red circulating ball of light craft in a farmer's field, like tucked away in this farmer's field. It was just rotating, and everything was silent. It was the summertime, and everything was silent. It was just this ball of light circulating. That was quite peculiar. Um, yeah, a lot of incidents, man. Like it's just I really don't look for it anymore. I'm not seeking it anymore. I
Mm-hmm.
just know that it's reality. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, what next? What does this really mean? Like, what should I do with these? Should I share my experiences? That's why I share the experiences, because I think it'd be beneficial in a sense. And obviously, we have to be smart about it, but clearly, these beings are so much more advanced than we are. There's really not much we can do from what I've seen. And that could be, troubling, but it's humbling in a sense, right? That you have these
Right.
abilities, like they're very telepathic, and they can go through walls, manifest, freeze things, and like they're just these beings must be thousands of years ahead of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you share these
And
stories often, or is this something you just generally keep to yourself?
well, I've told my whole family and friends, and some people that are close to me. Yeah, and I'm starting to talk a bit more about it now with, and just having courage, and just to think of doing the right thing to share these realities with people, because they're interested in it, and they should know the truth. They should know what's really going on, and I think like the government and whatnot is slowly disclosing it, in a direct way. They don't want to overwhelm and break too
Right.
many dogmas or whatever, disturb things too much. So it's slowly desensitizing us to this reality, right? So they have advanced technology like that. So they don't think they're a warring species. They have propulsion technology that isn't harmful to the environment. Um, it's just pretty incredible.
Well, what made you want
Just
to call in today and share your story?
I don't know. God knows. I saw your thing pop up, and I always appreciate how kind and cool you are, methodical with everything and what you're doing. It's just I thank you for putting on the show, and I wish you all the best with it. And yeah,
Oh,
that's
thank you,
all.
Niels. I appreciate that. Well, I'm glad you did. So I guess you've listened to some of the previous open lines before.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. I
It's
mean, this
just
is exactly what I basically wanted it to be. Just because I know, as I've said before, it's I always talk to the people that have put it down in a concise way, like a book, and are a bit more well known and whatnot. But that's not what I'm wanting to put out there. It's a contact happens to everybody. And so it's actually was somebody in the community chat on the YouTube that suggested something about what was it? Being able to have people call in, and that kind of gave me the idea. I was like, well, shoot, why don't I just try to set it up to Telegram? And
oh, it's
because I know I
great.
was
It's
already
great.
using Telegram, and so um, I do appreciate you having the. I don't know. It seems like you're the type of person that doesn't need courage. You would just say it anyway. But some people do, because they still have that fear and oh no, what are people gonna think? Who's what
Yeah.
are they gonna say? But I think that's what it's
Yeah.
all about. Just coming out and just like, hey,
Yeah.
this is what happened. Take it or leave it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I just want everybody to check out John E. Mack. He was Harvard professor of psychology, and legacy was basically, the 62 children. I think it was in Zimbabwe, and him really taking it, a open-minded but a scientific approach to, talking to abductees and about their experiences and assessing them. And he's just an incredible person. He was an incredible person, and he's gone back to the sun. But yeah, everybody should check out Dr. Johnny Mack. Incredible person.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah,
go
and
ahead.
one other thing too, like I already know that when you have 21 UFO experiences and you have these interactions with these beings, it's like what's next? And I'm sincerely looking into, is Bigfoot real or is it just all hocus pocus?
Right.
So many credible people. I don't know, divert from the topic here, but so many credible people are into it, and so I've kind of been getting into it to see, is there some reality here? Is it, are we able, are these advanced beings? Are they telepathic? Clearly, they're able to, um, are they in contact with, the star people? Like the natives are in contact with star people. They talk about it. Um,
Well, I wouldn't be surprised.
also,
Well, actually, I'm not. I'm speaking actually from more of just knowledge of what others have said. You could easily take the CE5 approach, for Bigfoot as well.
yeah,
It would be in the same field,
yeah,
same model.
yeah. It's this level of consciousness, right? It's
Right.
elevated consciousness, more a spiritual approach, the telepathic, the photon, sending the photon energy and the messages through the mind. And some beings are in tune to that, they can read minds, right? That's telepathy. So if you project your mind or your vibration or whatever it be, your aura or anything like that, these beings, you know, chances are they would be receptive to it. They would, they'd be able to sense that.
Right.
So it's just absolutely incredible, what's possible right now, what's going on right now. So yeah,
It's
and
definitely
also
interesting. It's been kind of all these other doors that I've opened throughout my life. I'm debating whether or not I need one more, especially for where I live here in the heavily wooded area. It would be the ideal to just kind of put put the feelers out there and see what comes back. but it's my perspective
Yeah,
changes after a while when I have little children and all of that. As much as I understand about the field and everything, I still can't help having the feeling of the being human and wanting to be protective of my children. It's like it's one of these things to where if something happens, I'm okay with stuff happening to me, but with them, it's like a different
I
different
hear it.
scenario.
Oh, absolutely. Protect them 100%, right? No other option.
Well, I mean, the
But
thing is, even though there hasn't been anything for me to fear of, I just would still, I don't know, I just don't. It's almost like same way we do with movies and things we don't want kids to see ahead of their time, waiting to the for the right age for them to be able to understand and disseminate. It's kind of like that
yeah,
same feeling that I have about, Bigfoot and ghosts and aliens and all of that. It's like I
yeah,
would wish for them to
absolutely.
know that there's more there, but for now, just go to school, play, and have some fun. Don't worry
Yeah,
about.
wait till you're that old. They'll
Yeah,
figure it out.
I don't want them
They'll
being younger.
understand.
Yeah, I want them being younger, and I want to go in the woods because big hairy man lives there.
Yeah, yeah. I want to tell another experience too with the spirit, basically. So I
Sure.
was having a pretty good party on dancing and red wine. Michael Jackson going on vinyls, having a blast. And I was like, I need to get some fresh air. So I opened up the back door, and there was this like greenish blue type of man standing there, and he's kind of like it's, he was just on the other side of the railing of the deck railing, basically, and almost like he was floating there. Looked right at him, like, oh my god, like I freaked out, and he vanished. And then looked down at my arm, and all the hair on my arm was standing up. And I showed it to my friend, and like, oh my god, what the heck? And so I freaked out, drank a bunch of wine, more wine, went to bed. I woke up, and there was this corner of my eye, saw this man laying with his arms crossed in the morning sun, like a peace kind of thing. So that was yeah, I could see he looked like a 5'6", like Scottishman, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so that happened. You don't
It's
go
like,
looking
oh,
for this
okay,
stuff. It just happens.
right,
It just happens, right? Like the last thing I was thinking of seeing a spirit of a man at night. You know what I mean? It's like,
right.
well, it's
Well, I've always been
so
of of the mindset that whatever happens, it happens to you, and there's a reason for that. So it's like it's only up to us to keep going down that road to however far it can go to eventually get to to figure out what this is about, because it's one of these things to where it's so weird to have to go out and tell everyone else about it, and they can give you back is guessing and maybe educated guess, and maybe it's this, maybe it's that, possibly this, and it's just confuses the scenario even more, to just it just makes it a lot easier, like just go out on your own, let it keep happening, keep watching, keep listening, and sooner or later, a more of a clearer picture will come.
hmm hmm yeah.
There's
Another
just
time,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's just been always my opinion and my point of view about that kind of stuff because you know it's always great to talk to somebody else, but all I can say is like, wow, that is cool, and then just be a ear, but I don't know what other information I can offer unless there's specifically something that like, oh, something similar happened to me and this is what I did. But even then, it
hmm
just takes the action away from you because it's you that's gonna have to act on it eventually.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Well, so it's going on. Another time too, I had. Yeah, I don't put too much. The dream state, right? I don't put
Mm-hmm.
too much emphasis on it or accuracy. But one time I had this dream where I basically woke up on a ship, and it was like in a rounded corridor, and I like wanted to know like what this was all about, basically. And it was like this. It was like probably 800 computer desks, computers with chairs basically in perfect symmetry, very close to each other. In this huge room, and it had this huge screen, and it was like after hours kind of thing. And then there was I saw these two people like almost like at a booth, almost standing outside just the booth. And they were talking about something. And they're very animated, and they look different. I don't remember what they look like, but I just recall they look different than
Hmm.
regular. Probably the clothes and whatnot, but they're very like eccentric people. And yeah, that was interesting.
Right.
But yeah, so like I
Well, I
could
mean,
talk
do
for
you
hours,
do you plan
not
on
hours, but I could talk
continue?
about other ones.
Right. Do you plan on
The
continue just
C5?
yeah, and just
Well,
basically just
maybe,
taking down whatever experience you get?
maybe, yeah. Like next time in nature, like who knows what if if I want to manifest it. Like I just don't feel like I have a need for it anymore because I've already been shown. I've already seen it. It's like how many more examples do you need? You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
I just know now, right? I'm just happy that I know that that's reality. That's possibility. Is it
Right.
is it a bit comfortable because it's so strange? Yeah, but it just is what it is, right? It's what happened. And so not a lot of people get to experience it, right? But a lot of people have experienced it, right? And there are a lot of some authentic people with their stories, right? Like going back to 62 children, these two crafts landed at recess time, and these short beings basically floated over to them, and they had big black eyes, and they gave messages like, "We're becoming too technologically advanced. We have to stop hurting the planet. We have to stop warring," and showing like what's going to become of the world if we continue on this foolish path, right?
Hmm.
And so, anyways, so Johnny Mack went and assessed them, and to this day, these people, they're like in their 30s now, 30s, late 20s and 30s. There, to this day, they still speak of it. Not one of them has changed their story,
Hmm.
and you can contact them. And so that's an incredible incident. So yeah, Johnny Mack went there and assessed them, and asked the purest little girl what they saw and what her story was, and girl that's like 5 or 6 years old, all the way up to 13, 14, they all they're on camera, getting getting interviewed basically.
Yeah, that would be interesting
And also,
for me to maybe reach out and see if I can get a hold of somebody and see if one of them would be willing to come and talk to me.
yeah, I'll let Dr. J Radio Live. Do you know him?
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just check out his YouTube. He does similar show like you do. So it's Dr. J Radio Live,
Hmm.
and just YouTube now if you want. And he has incredible guests on there, man. He gets like top people out there. So you should have him on your show, or you can go on his show, or do something together, and just get the word out and get people getting in the know, and giving courage, or just people to share their experiences and stories, and you know
Right.
we should just
Well,
keep
just
understanding and gaining knowledge.
right. Well, I mean, some people just listening to you would be, for some encouraging enough to be like, all right, next time I'll do it. It's like,
Yeah, do C5.
honestly, I noticed,
Do it.
when to say top people, having done this in, quite a while, I respect them all. I'm glad the ones that I did was able to talk on the show. It's great, but it's not about them at the end of the day. It's like they just had more of a proclivity to really get into the subject and just keep at it till they become a little bit more well known. But really, honestly,
Mhm.
there's no difference between you and Richard Dolan. There's no difference between you and Stanton Freeman. All these, these big names. I've got to know them very well in
Yeah,
person and
Howard
talk to
Dalton.
them.
Oh, right
And
on.
we had all these, just those hotel room talks. When the conference is over
Awesome.
and everyone is, just kind of behind closed doors, and it's really they're all doing exactly what you and I are doing now, wondering and looking and confirming and double checking and cross referencing and all this other stuff. So we're all in the same boat at the end of the day. No, I'm not
Yeah,
belittling them. Especially late Stanton Freeman. I appreciate his work very much, and everyone else in ufology. I'm just saying that we should all give ourselves some credit. Just the fact that we're talking about it, and in whichever way we know how is does justice to the ufology. Because at one point these stories, are going to be making more sense to people. There's going to be more and more people looking to see. It's like, oh, well, what's this happening? There's got to be more information out there. And sure enough, they'll be coming across videos like this, and they're like, oh, there's experiencers, and we'll
Absolutely.
end up listening to you and seeing, okay, well, this person has seen similar things that I have, and then it might make him feel better and not so isolated and not so um, alone anymore.
Oh, for sure. Like just look at the Milky Way. It's just so incredible. And one thing I want to say is that you should do something that scares you every day and challenges you every day. And it's a part of it too, right? Just getting the information out there and trying to get knowledge and developing consensus and listening to experts or people that devote all their time to it. And doing CE5 yourself. If you're sincere about it and you really want to know, what you're capable of, it's, it unlocks you as a person, as a spirit, as a being, of a consciousness. It shows that we're all connected. It's all interconnectedness, and
Hmm.
it's just so incredible. It's just sometimes we forget that it's how just amazing it is, and we're just slowly, like you get crumbs, right, of like information, of experiences and consensuses and whatnot. And then all of a sudden you have a pretty good meal and you feast on it. It's like, holy, like really, we got to prepare for, how's that going to change humanity with these beings coming here and their technology and everybody starts understanding and just knowing that, we're not alone here and they're coming here and they're doing different things. And, what's that going to do for humanity, right? Like what's next for us?
Right.
Where are we going here? Like, and I think it's been going on for a very long time, and they've probably been quite influential. Apparently in the 40s, they became more active and whatnot, like disabling nuclear power plants, all that stuff, and like, nuclear weapons and all that. But I think they've always been here. Like the Dogon tribe of Western Maui,
Right.
they were asked how they built their homes on the side of the mountain. And they're very high up and difficult to do, like no scaffolding kind of thing. And he said, "Oh, we didn't build those. The men of wisdom built them, and they
Hmm.
left, and they're going to come back here." And they also say they're from the ninth moon or the ninth planet of Saturn, and they have a tool that shows their orbit. It's like this. It's almost like this round. It's like a round circle with like almost like a cross of the cross, and it's like curled to the right, and it shows like its orbit kind of thing.
Hmm.
And they jump up and down and like go in this trance and probably start having ascension or going into altered states of consciousness where they can you know I don't know, work on their
Right.
spirit or contact these beings or just rituals that are taught or their tradition or it's just incredible what all the ancient civilizations are all about. And that's another thing to look into. There's
Well,
orthodox
right.
ancient civilization, and there's unorthodox, and we should look at every angle.
There's definitely a point, to all of it, and just to, I hate to do it in injustice of not to get into it right now because there would be probably be another hour, but
Mm,
it all comes down to um, each one individually understanding ourselves. I know there's always the stories of extraterrestrials out there, events and happenings out there, and we always think that it's all going to happen, regardless whether we're there to observe or not. But the fact that we're here, it has a lot to do with each and every single one of us individually, and it's really weird, regarding all kinds of things, like all the events in my life, when some of the experience that I had that were basically happened entirely just for my experience, for me, to gain a lesson, to understand something out of it, and that was so weird because I always thought, well, this wasn't a random event that had occurred and I happened to witness it, and then everyone else moved on and I moved on, but it wasn't. It was a staged play, galactic, play for me to witness and learn a lesson from it, and have all these willing participants of it. And it's just this ongoing constant experience upon experience and learning and relearning, from every angle possible. So anyway, I'm sorry, I hate to be cryptic about it or not getting into too much detail, which I definitely can, but I'm thinking about shutting it down for tonight. I'm getting a bit tired, but I do appreciate you, Neil, for calling in. Maybe next time call in a bit earlier. Usually I start at 7, so love to continue the conversation.
Yeah, it's I just hope you have a great evening. Thank you so much for having me on your show, and I just I send out my love to everybody, and to give them, they want to check out C5, go ahead, and or just practice meditation and or breathing, and I wish all the greatest blessings to everybody, and have a good night.
Niels, yeah, thank you. Please log in next time and then we can continue chatting.
Will do.
So, all right. Well, thank you all. Thanks everyone that stuck around for this long. I appreciate it. I hope you got something out of it. Like I said, Wednesday is just basically just me hanging out with you guys. So I apologize if it wasn't a bit structured for you, like an interview usually is, and kind of that it's all over the place. But I guess that's what conversations generally are. You remember this and you go into it, and then you go back to the original point. So if you, I think, are okay with that idea, I hope you find this entertaining enough. And but I do have a lot of interviews that are structured and to the point and getting information out there. So I hope you don't mind just having one little thing in your life that's unorganized. So thank you all again for tuning in. On Friday, I'm going to have Sally. She does numerology, so I hope you tune in. She's probably going to spend during the Q&A, spend some time, if you give her name and birth date, to do some just a quick numbers reading. She does it also on her website. She would have some information if you want to go into greater details for her to break down your numbers and give you some information if you're interested in that. I think she does those on an hourly basis. Well, I think they're called readings. I don't know. She might correct me on Friday, but definitely Friday at 7 p.m. Central Time. We're going to be on live, so you can log in again to Telegram to listen, and when the Q&A happens or starts, you can just raise your hand. I will add you to my queue, and then you can ask a question directly, or if you're in your chat, simply put the 3 little stars there and ask your question. That way I know it's directly directed towards the guest. So thank you all very much. Have a good night, have a good evening, and I'll see you Friday.